Boom. And we are live with another episode of the Brownwater Banter podcast. My name is Jared Seymour.
My name is Joey Cates.
That's right. It is Joey Cates. And we got a great show for you this
All
evening.
day long.
In the studio with us, running for sheriff in Jackson County, we got Robbie O'Bryant sitting here with us today, man. We appreciate you stopping by. We're going to jump into that conversation in just a minute.
Yep.
But before we do that, we got to keep the people that help pay the air conditioning bill around here.
It's hot.
Because God knows it's hot right now. And the first person, like we always do, man, 2023 is the year to keep your mouth clean. We want to thank Dr. Robbie Williams over at Southern Magnolia Smiles. They're located on Washington Avenue in Ocean Springs. So if you're looking for a great local dentist, look them up on the socials at Southern Magnolia Smiles on Facebook and Instagram. And let them know if you booked that appointment. Let them know that Brownwater sent you. To do that, just call them at 228-215-1202. He's got a great team that he put together over there, and they'll take care of you for sure.
That's it.
Hill Tree Marketing. That's our buddy Jesse. We're going to be meeting up with him again this week. He can take you from zero concept to an award-winning website all in one stop, and he's local. That's covering the photography, the videography, if you need it done, the IT side of everything. Jump over to hilltreemarketing.com and check him out. He's worked with a lot of local brands around here that you're probably familiar with. Or you can go to brownwaterbanter.com and check out our website because he built that for us as well, and we couldn't be more proud of it. So hilltreemarketing.com, check him out if you're in the market for a website for any reason. Taylor and Cox Law Firm. This is our buddy Tyler. Taylor and Cox Law Firm has been practicing law in Pascagoula for over 30 years. They represent people here for all types of things. They've specialized, though, in criminal law, family law, and civil litigation defense. Give them a call at 228-696-0111 if you find yourself in need of some legal representation. And we also want to thank Taylor and Cox for sponsoring the Brownwater Banter app.
Go get it.
They sponsored it to the end of the year. So they helped keep that running for us. If you want to download the app, it's free in the App Store or Google Play. It's got everything you need all inside the app, man, for a great day outdoors, from bag limits to tides to currents to radar, tails and scales, everything you need.
We don't need that, though.
Well, not anymore. But maybe they'll open it up again. Let's be optimistic here.
Yeah.
This year, I mean. Anyway, moving right along. We want to thank Taylor and Cox Law Firm, though. Moving right along, it's our buddy Rocky Brooks over at Cedar Swamp. He's got two locations now, man. He's got one in Gaucher and one in Gulfport. He's got your tackle and apparel covered. He's a small local shop. Keep your money in the community, right? He just opened up, like I said, location over in Gulfport. He's slinging kayaks. He's got rods. He's got reels. He does reel repair, extra tough boots, anything you need for a day outside. He's even got Brownwater gear over there, some hats of ours. So give him a call at 228-205-3964. Tell him that you heard about him on here, and just ask him a bunch of questions about every little thing you can think of.
Yeah, aggravate him.
See if you can aggravate him. No, but seriously, check him out on Facebook. C, the number 2, and then Swamp. Our buddy Kendrick over at Forever Young Men and Women's Health. Looked him up on Facebook, man. He's putting out a ton of good content. If you've got any questions about what he can do, his Facebook page is the place to go do it or to check it out. But he specializes in hormone replacement, testosterone replacement. If you're feeling lethargic, you can't get off the couch, you want to get jacked, but you don't have the energy, go check out Kendrick over at Forever Young.
Get yoked.
Give him a call at 228-363-6623. Do it under the supervision of a medical professional.
Absolutely.
He'll do lab work. He'll figure out maybe it's not testosterone replacement that's your problem. Maybe there's some other issues that need to be addressed first. Kendrick can get you taken care of and get you on the right track. Next up, let's see. We'll cover Randy. We had Randy Bosarge on 2-3 episodes ago.
Yep.
Great conversation if you want to know what the future looks like for Jackson County economically, development-wise. He's running for re-election August the 8th for District 5 Supervisor. He's been in for 2 terms now, I do believe.
Yep.
So when you see his name on the ballot there, we want to thank Randy for sponsoring the show, the District 5 in Jackson County. And then here we got John Ledbetter is also sponsoring the show this month.
Yep.
He's the current sheriff in Jackson County. Let me pull up his bullet points here. This is so he's been in law enforcement for 22 years. He's run on a platform to protect the citizens of Jackson County. He believes that our community deserves a leader with a track record of integrity and accountability. He supports community leaders, elected officials, and law enforcement, and is working hard to earn your vote August the 8th. We've mentioned that 1,000 times on this show. August the 8th is coming up next week, and you got to get out to vote. So we want to thank Sheriff Ledbetter for sponsoring the show as well.
Yep.
And our last sponsor here, I did it when we got sitting in the studio.
Rolling right into
it. So I'm gonna flash the picture here. It's a great photo. We want to thank you for being here.
Looks good. That's a new photo,
man.
man.
It's photogenic.
Look at
that.
Look
at that.
August 8th, right there on the front too.
Yeah,
like that.
Coming up.
But no, so Robbie, thanks for dropping by, man. Where do you want to start? Where are we starting with this? How'd you get into law enforcement? That's where we like to usually start.
Well, I mean, honestly, I started as a child. So my dad was in the sheriff's office under Sheriff Pope. He was there when I was born.
Notice that a lot of y'all
seems like a theme.
It's a family thing. Is that
is
that a thing?
Look, everybody in my family has been law enforcement, firefighter. There was one that sort of drifted off into that profession.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Still first responder.
I mean, absolutely. He's it's my cousin. You know, I mean, he spent a whole lot of time riding in the car with me too, though. So he knows. Yeah,
he
absolutely
knows.
He had a heart for it.
Okay.
There was a couple times I even got in trouble. He was with me back in the day working patrol. We were chasing meth labs. And his girlfriend at the time, who's now his wife, wasn't so fond of the idea that I was bringing him to those.
No.
But hey, look,
she's like, go fight fires. It's safe.
Exactly. But no, my uncle, he was the chief under Sheriff Pope too, and retired under him.
Okay.
You know, I was 11 years old, I think, 1995. I got in. It was the youth patrol.
Damn. Okay. I think that's the second or third time we've heard the youth patrol.
Yeah.
So it was the.
Is that still a thing?
No, actually, the sometime during Sheriff Ezel's administration, it sort of just fell by the wayside.
COVID maybe or something.
I think it may have been
Before
prior to that. I'm not sure exactly when it was.
Okay.
But I got into that, and then when Sheriff Byrd came in, Explorers is a subsidy of the Boy Scouts.
Okay.
So they took us under, and we got their insurance and that sort of thing, and I stayed with it and made it to the rank of chief within that.
Mm-hmm.
This was always growing up. This was my goal. This was my end game.
You knew it.
I knew it right off the top. I mean, coming through it with my family, and I can remember my dad. One of his assignments was in the traffic division, and they had a Christmas party one time, and they gave him a Huffy bicycle, and they mounted some styrofoam on the side, made a saddlebag because he didn't have a motorcycle to ride.
Nice.
Me and my brother, I've got a baby brother who actually works for the sheriff's office right now, and I got him and I used to play cops and robbers through the neighborhood. I mean, I always knew this is where I was going. This is what my plan was.
It was in your blood.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I got during that time, the earlier times of the Explorers, before things sort of evolved with them and that you could do ride-alongs, you really just sort of learn the inner workings of the sheriff's office and spend a whole lot of time sitting in the dispatch room.
Okay.
Communications and learning how to do that.
Well, that's cool. I mean, you get to listen to everything coming in, right?
You know everything coming in and everything going out. And you learning the codes and the areas, looking at the maps or whatever. Well, I developed a relationship with them. They developed trust in me, kind of thing. And they let me start answering the phones and putting calls in and sending calls out and that
was how, you were 11, 12ish?
By this time I was probably 14,
15,
15, something like that.
I like that though. That's dude, at 14, I didn't know what I wanted to do.
No,
and much less like training for it. You know what I mean?
Well, a lot of
I still don't know what I want to do.
I don't ever want to grow up.
I
just want to have fun.
Still trying to figure it out. Podcaster, medical. I don't know what I'm doing.
But the other things you could do, you could go to the football games and sort of help out with directing
like
traffic
security and stuff,
security and that sort of thing, and the fairs and riding and with the reserves and the parades and some of the regular officers. I remember 16, I had a driver's license. Mike Byrd was the sheriff. It was the Christmas parade in St. Martin.
Yeah.
He had a car that was going to drive him, but he wanted his car in it too. And he threw me the keys and said, I need you to drive behind me, man. So,
all right.
You thought you was a big guy. Came walking out with that chest puffed out.
About like he used to do too.
Yeah.
Right.
So then anyway, so we got, I was working the Van Cleve football game, 16 years old. And, they used to have the substations. I'm sorry, the dispatch communication rooms were separated. Anything on the east side of the county was dispatched out of Pascagoula at the main station. And then everything on the west side was dispatched out of the substation of Washington over there.
Okay.
I got you.
So it typically carried two dispatchers in Pascagoula, one dispatcher over in St. Martin. well, the dispatcher got sick and couldn't work, and they couldn't get anybody to come in, and somebody made the suggestion, hey, see if Robbie's around, see if he can come in and sort of work and grab it. And so they called me, and I was up here at the Van Cleve football game. I said I'll be there in a few minutes, and left and got down there, and she had went home. The shift lieutenant at the time was sitting there fixing to pull his hair out, I think, trying to keep
figure
up
it out.
with
Yeah,
figure it
answer
out.
calls.
Yeah, he's like, I don't know how to do this. Yeah,
Sort
exactly.
of keep up with it. He said, "Can you do it?" I said, "Well, I'm gonna get after it, and we'll see what happens."
Figure it out.
Figured out I was sitting there a little bit, and first 911 call rang in, because what it would do was it would ring. Everything would go to Pascagoula as far as the 911 calls went to the main office,
Right.
and then if it was something that was on our side of the county, it
Transferred
over. So first call came in. I don't even remember what it was.
Mhm.
I handled it, talked to the people, handled like I needed to, dispatched it out. They listened on another.
You're hired.
A couple non-emergency calls,
Yeah.
and then dispatchers over there, they called and they said, well, we think you got it, think you can do it. And after that, it was sort of game on. I got to a lot more of doing it, a lot more involved with it.
Right.
The captains were noticing me and listening to the things that I was doing, and one of them in particular, he's retired now. He really went to bat for me.
Okay.
With Bird, and said, hey, look, I think we need to give him a job. So he kept Berg. The Sheriff Berg came to me right there at 18. He said, "Hey, look, I'll hire you as a part-time dispatcher if you want the job." I said, "Absolutely." So May 3rd, 2003, here we went, and it's not slowed down yet.
Damn.
Wow. So
damn.
you actually started. I mean, that's pretty much. I'm not saying this in a bad way, but that's pretty much the most intermediate entry level job there is in the police station.
Oh yeah, I mean, absolutely.
Yeah.
But I mean, there was So I went to like 2 semesters of college, but I mean, and then I continued working. That was my focus. I didn't ever think that I would get to go back. There's things that I do want to do and go back and achieve that. But
Right.
I always wanted to work towards what my goal was, and I knew my goal was to make it to sheriff and make a difference in the county and a difference in the department. And he gave me the opportunity so young and so early.
Yeah.
There was I had in my mind going into the Coast Guard, going into the military. When he gave me that opportunity, I
What year was that?
2003.
2003. Okay. Man, what a competitive advantage knowing what you want to do and having that long-term goal that you can focus on.
And starting that retirement.
Well,
at 18 years
Hey, let me
old.
tell you what, I got just over 2 years, and my retirement's completed.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't understand that. A lot of people, they go, we talk about all the time about going off to college and wasting a bunch of money and time. But as soon as you can get in with a company and start putting that retirement in, sooner you get to walk away.
Yeah, that's true. So started out, then got that job dispatch. So now you're official, right? That would make you officially part of the department.
Well, yeah. No, you're officially a part of the department.
You're not an officer at that.
No,
time.
no.
Okay.
So then I continued doing that, and then I turned 21 days after Hurricane Katrina comes through.
Okay.
Yeah.
So as soon as I turned 21, I turned 21 in September. October, I was moved to the jail. So like when Katrina came through, everybody, I was always all hands on deck anytime a storm was getting close,
Right.
especially something like that. And I was over there again in St. Martin at the substation, and we dispatched out of that all the way through it and until we lost the communications, and then as soon as everything was safe, and I would get out with whoever was coming in, and we'd start rescue efforts over in St. Martin and down south, Gulf Park Estate, St. Andrews.
That's where your pops used to live.
Yeah. Well, Porto Bay.
Which
was decimated.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'll never forget. We were in on Big Ridge, so North Cedar Grove,
Yep.
and lost power. And I heard it on the radio, little battery powered radio, that people were on their roofs in Porto Bay, sitting on top of the roof, and I was like, obviously they must have said that wrong. I was like, there ain't no way,
Oh no!
But it was like, no, they were there. Some didn't even have. My dad's house was gone. He didn't have a house.
There was people that we were getting phone calls for people, and and I remember they were pushing out, leave.
Yeah,
get out of the way.
Get out of the way, leave. And a lot of people adhered to it, and a lot of people didn't. And we started getting those 911 calls.
You can't do nothing.
Well, this house was here in Camille, and Camille didn't take it.
And then, there's nothing you can do. And literally some of these places, Porto Bay, Langley Point.
Yeah. Oh God.
Down in Gulf Park, St. Andrews.
Oh, I've heard a ton of stories.
Man, the last thing you'd hear from people was, "We're in our attic. The water's coming in now."
Yep.
What is it? What is the I guess what's the last thing? How long does it take y'all to get out there? When did they shut y'all down during a storm?
Winds
like
over a certain mile an hour, right?
Well, yeah. So vehicles can't travel, like buses, fire trucks, ambulances, whenever that wind got up. But I mean, literally, we were up to the last possible second when it was just one of those. The conditions are to the point to where it's not safe for y'all to be
well,
there
then you're gonna put y'all's life,
because the obviously the water was starting to come in. So when water, especially down Gulf Park, St. Andrews, and Forts Lake, and South Gaucher, Pascagoula, there was deputies literally all across the county. Once the water started coming up and the winds got so bad, they got us out of there. I can remember standing on at the substation, they used to have that awning over the back, and there was just, so you had the main building, and then the awning was back there before they built that addition.
Right.
And I remember standing over there and watching the awning at Fayards and everything across the street, just
blown away.
So you were on duty, during the storm.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, Damn. So so that's 2005, and you're officially sworn in at that point.
So I'm yes, I go to the jail and I start working the jail.
Okay, because that's what we hear most people do. They don't usually hit the dispatch, I don't think. Mainly we hear as correctional officers.
Usually the sort of the path along the sheriff's office is always people are hiring in at 21 and they're going through the jail to get there. There's probably 2 or 3 people that I can think of the top of my head, 2 at the sheriff's office and one at Pascagoula who's now a lieutenant. That he also got his start in the Explorers and went through as a dispatcher with the sheriff's office.
Okay,
and now he's lieutenant at Pascagoula. But there's probably less than a handful of people that took the avenue of dispatch first.
Okay,
right.
Gives you a little more time in, gives you a little other side of the experience, other side seeing things.
But the jail is usually always the next step. That's where you cut your teeth, right?
Yeah, that's where you cut your teeth.
Is that mandatory or is that
no? But I mean,
part of the process.
Yeah. Used to, it was a lot of mandatory. You might every once in a while you would get somebody that would lateral in with some experience from somewhere. And
I'm talking like new guy, no
brand new guy.
You're probably going corrections first,
straight to the jail.
Okay,
I mean,
don't pass go straight to jail.
I used to tell people that the only difference between me and y'all as inmates is that I get to go home in
12 hours. We all hear it. For 8 hours, we're both here. Yeah, exactly.
And y'all not leaving, But anyway, I got into there 2007. I went to the Reserve Academy.
Okay.
And then 2008, I come out and I went to the full-time academy in Pearl to Malota.
Okay.
And then I started working patrol.
Yeah.
I worked through patrol. I worked DUI enforcement, traffic enforcement, rode motorcycles. Was
that cool? Was motorcycles cool?
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Dangerous and cool,
man. The whole job's dangerous. You remember?
That's true. You're
right.
That's true. You might as well get to be on a motorcycle.
But now you're on a motorcycle
sometimes.
Yeah, but then people drive crazy.
But look, I'm gonna tell you what. There's two types of motorcycle officers, and the ones that have wrecked, the ones that are going to wreck.
Exactly.
I mean, fortunately, the ones that I had were not as bad as what has happened to other people.
Gotcha.
My cousin rode at the sheriff's office. He rode at Ocean Springs. I mean, he had some pretty bad wrecks that could have ended his career, or took his life.
Right.
So then I done that. That was a lot of fun. I went into narcotics, worked that for a little while as a narcotics agent, and then and I was up there working the interstate, working criminal interdiction, K9. I had 2 different dogs over my career.
Okay.
Now, are these all just like ribbons and badges or stuff you're putting on your resume to pile up? Is it it's just all the same job?
Like
doing different stuff,
natural
right?
progression through the department, right?
Well, I mean, you got different avenues to take.
Okay.
I mean, I like I said, I always knew this was my end was to become sheriff. And like make a difference. Some people will take a career path that sort of runs them up the ladder.
Okay.
I wanted to run across diversity within the divisions of the department. So I had a good understanding of, hey, look, if I put you in this position to manage this division, then when you come to me, I have an understanding of why you're coming to me about the things that you need.
Right. You understand. Yeah.
Or if you have a shortcoming, then I have some knowledge to really have a discussion.
Right.
Yeah. If you're going to be sheriff or CEO of a company, right, and you don't know a particular part or department that you're over, you're vulnerable.
Yeah.
Because how can you
Yeah.
how can you lead? How they could lie to you, they could
Yeah.
make stuff up. I mean, that you don't know how to find inefficiencies, right?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, and you know and with the sheriff's office and other agencies, when you start promoting up, you start limiting your avenues and the divisions that you can go to, unless there's just an opening into it.
Okay.
But typically, if you make the rank of sergeant, then you go out to the jail, or very seldom. It was at the time. Very seldom would you get another opportunity outside of that, because there for the longest time it was patrol captains managing the shifts and then shift lieutenants. So if you were a sergeant, you were either going to go to the jail or you were going to go up into CID, and that was it. And but once you start that progression, there's no.
Once you go up, you ain't going back.
Yeah,
there's
really nothing for you to do unless something opens up. You know, I mean, the traffic division, the longest time, there was a monopoly on it. I mean,
really?
Yeah, as far as any kind of rank goes. And so it would take you the time to get there, and I didn't want to do that. I wanted to make sure I had a good, solid understanding as much as I could.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, so I done that. Eventually, I made my way into the sergeant position at the jail, over a shift out there, and then over transportation for a little while, and then ultimately I left the sheriff's office and in time to start preparing for this campaign, and went to Moss Point.
Okay.
I stayed at Moss Point for 3 years.
Which they've been underserved over there for a long time, right? In that department?
Yeah.
It's bad, right?
Yeah. I mean, they have been for a while, but they do with the best with what they got.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
I mean,
I say underserved, I mean number of officers, number of bodies there, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, everywhere now.
Well, that's true.
But yeah,
significantly right?
it was significantly there.
Right.
You know, I got to work another dog while I was there.
Mm.
As a matter of fact, March was a year. He was the one that got shot we were tracking a burglary suspect.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, was that this year? Or what was that?
Last year.
Yes,
March.
I remember that. As a matter of fact, he shot the dog. Did he shoot an officer too?
No. So there's two different things that happened. Mine was the first. My dog was the first police dog in the state of Mississippi that was shot by a suspect that wasn't shot within friendly fire.
Okay.
Really?
Okay. Yeah.
The dog make it?
Yeah, he did.
Okay.
He did.
Tough dog.
So, yeah, big dog.
Yeah. Big dog.
I want a big teeth.
dog.
Big
dog.
Yeah, big dog.
Yeah.
But he did. We were tracking a burglary suspect from one of the gas stations, and he locked in on him, started chasing him, and as soon as he apprehended the guy turned around, shot him, and took off.
Wow.
So we got him the vet, got him stabilized, come back, and located the suspect, put him in jail.
Okay. Yeah. So I worked at the hospital. I was over at Pascagoula when one of the dogs got shot.
Pascagoula's dog.
Okay. So different situation.
Yeah, different situation.
They shot that dog. I don't know if it lived or not, but they also
not.
shot an officer, if I remember, and then the suspect got shot a couple times.
So
we had to
A couple times.
We had to deal with that.
Yeah, he shot the dog. He shot the canine. And as soon as he got shot, the officer obviously returned fire.
Okay,
got
maybe
him.
no officer.
So
got
no
hit.
officer got hit.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. No officer got hit. I was having to think about it.
Yeah.
You know, who was
Yeah.
at the scene? Because I wasn't. You know,
Right.
I had went home, but that officer, he's one of my best friends.
Okay.
You know, so he was there for me through the process of my dog healing and you know,
Gotcha.
checking in on you kind of thing.
I can only imagine how
it's
close y'all get to those
They're like
canines.
a kid.
Oh yeah,
You know?
I mean, absolutely.
Because they protect you.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
I mean that night, whenever he got shot, man, that had I been the one that got to him, that bullet would have been for me, or my partner with me,
right?
You know, so absolutely they do, and I owe, and essentially I feel I owe my life to him,
right?
You know, the hardest thing about that was, what was I going to tell my kids and my wife? Because they come home with you.
Oh yeah.
So not only do you have a bond with them,
your family,
your family has a bond with them.
Mm-hmm.
So it racked my head. They didn't know, man. This happened just after 1 o'clock in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't tell my wife until about 6 o'clock
Right.
because I didn't know how to do it.
Right.
That wasn't one of those, and I wasn't going home until we found the guy.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, you know, so I called my wife. I was in the middle of the woods looking for him.
Mm-hmm.
I said, "Hey, by the way, I need you to step out away from the girls. I need to tell you something."
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I finally mustered up the courage. I'm out here looking for a guy who just shot my dog and then took a shot at me, but I'm more worried about how am I going to tell my wife
Yeah,
and kids
yeah.
you know,
Well, I
what's
mean,
happened to this.
they can put 2 and 2 together too, like you just
Oh, yeah.
said. I mean, that
Yeah,
could have
yeah.
easily been you instead
Yeah.
of the dog.
For
you know,
sure.
So puts him
So
on high alert.
Yeah. Fortunately, everything worked out for the best in my scenario, but unfortunately, Pascagoula's didn't.
Yeah.
You know, and the emotions that ran through that when I got that call was
That's tough, man.
Yeah.
It is tough.
Yeah.
I mean, you think about his dogs, but when they're on police force, they're regular officers. Yeah, they're officers.
Well, and I would love to be able to say that that's a fact, but unfortunately, the state of Mississippi, they're not like they are in other states.
Oh, to be
Really?
prosecuted.
As far as
Okay, I didn't know that.
prosecution
Yeah, I did not know that.
I mean, absolutely. So it's an injury to a public service animal is a statute, and it carries 5 years in prison. That's all.
That's terrible.
Okay.
That's all. Yeah, those dogs cost up to $20,000.
Yeah.
Right.
You get them trained and all that stuff.
And I mean,
Golly.
you talk about going past that. It's an annual certification process.
Right.
You get all the medical bills that go behind the just the annual checkups
Correct.
and the preventatives that you have to have, and the dog food and
Yeah.
everything else.
Yeah.
So
It's tough.
what was your favorite out of all the experience that you had at different departments? You said motorcycle, traffic as well.
Yeah.
Narcotics, K9. Did I miss one? Corrections, dispatch.
Probably wasn't in jail.
I'm gonna tell you,
Probably learned some stuff.
you learn how to talk.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's when I
There's
started,
benefits to all of it.
yeah,
right?
I mean, absolutely. So when I started in the jail, you're talking about there was like 500 people, and we had about 6 to 8 deputies working in the jail.
Oh, great.
So you're literally
Yeah.
looking at like a 1 to 100 ratio.
Yeah, not good odds.
No, so you learn real quick.
Checking locks, making sure
You
we ain't opening
learn
nothing, so we
real
ain't-
quick how to talk, or you get really tired in 12 hours.
Right.
One of the two. I mean, you earn a mutual respect for one another.
Right.
That sort of thing. And I think that you learn that people are still people.
Right.
People make mistakes. You learn the same people that would come in and that repetitive cycle that who they are and sitting there working visitation, who comes to visit them. So, I mean, how they act, the way that they talk, I think that is why it's so important going through the jail.
Mm-hmm.
It really sort of sets you for what you're going to do for the rest of your career.
Right.
I mean, you get out in the sheriff's department as a deputy, you're by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So you learn how to talk, or you learn how to fight.
Right.
I mean, that's it.
Right.
So they teach you that in there more than what people realize.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Real quick too, I bet. Right.
Oh yeah, real quick,
Yeah.
quick. You'll get challenged, but I mean, show yourself like what you should, and
Correct.
present yourself like you should, and you don't really have those issues.
Yeah.
I mean, like you said, it becomes a respect thing from them to you, and you learn how to talk. You learn where these people live at. You learn who's coming to visit them. You learn the areas to look for whenever you're going into patrol, because people typically don't leave the area that they're causing the problems in.
Right.
They usually stay pretty close, or they did. Now there's a lot of travel around the county and cross county and,
Right.
and that sort of thing, but
So what do you think? What do you think is some of the stuff that facing Jackson County right now that you want to address once you get in?
staffing is the first thing.
Yeah. We've heard.
I mean, staffing until you get those numbers where they need to be, where they have to be,
Right.
You're reactive to everything else. You have all the ideas in the world and the things that you want to do, but until you get the numbers where those numbers need to be,
Right.
and they are nowhere close.
Yeah.
But how do we fix that?
Yeah.
That's the
What's
thing.
your plan of attack to
Is
fix that?
I mean, right? Money has got to be a thing,
money's
right?
money's. So Ocean Springs just got a pretty good bump from what I understand. All these other agencies are paying pretty comparable. The sheriff's office is fairly behind.
Okay.
In those salaries.
Okay.
I mean, the numbers are not there. So a solid plan working with the board and to get a pay scale that's competitive
Mm-hmm.
with good solid leadership. I think employee development. That's a thing that's been behind for time through the sheriff's office, and there's somebody there that whether they've been there a while or whether they're just now coming into the profession, they want to be sheriff.
Yeah.
They want to be a narcotics officer. They
Okay.
want to be a traffic officer. They want to ride motorcycles, or they want to be investigations, community resource. There's a multitude
Okay.
of things that they want that you can do within the departments. Focus on that.
Yeah.
You know, listen to the people that you have with you.
See what they
the
want,
people,
what their goals are.
what their goals are.
Right.
Push them there. I can't put everybody in traffic. I can't put everybody in narcotics, but I can get you on a good path. So whenever it becomes available, instead of looking to pull some money from some other department, I would rather build that relationship and then boost the morale within my department, move them, and then put somebody in their spot to move forward too. You know,
Yeah.
Is that how that works though? Going back to like to the pay part, like day one, your sheriff, you know, you put it on the agenda, and then is your the way to be successful with that is meet with the board of supervisors. Is that right?
Yeah.
Petition your case, and then they
yes.
vote on it.
Yeah. See,
Okay.
I mean, they give a pretty good budget, you know, and,
Right.
and it's up to you to say, hey, look, this is what I want to do, and they do good. They have done good for years in giving pay across the board for all county employees. But I want to be specific to the sheriff's office and our needs, because I mean, public safety, economic development, I mean, it all goes hand in hand together.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I want to focus on us, and let's make the initial investment in what we need to do, what it's going to cost us to get there, and anything that y'all are able to do after that, we're thankful for.
Right.
But
Yeah.
I know whenever I come to you to ask you to come to work, or you come through a recruiting event, or you just turn in an application, you know where you're going to be at. There's not a question. The issue with the sheriff's office, and it's been that way for years, is there's such a large gap in pay.
Gap from what?
From just a deputy to a deputy.
Okay.
You know, a deputy could be
okay, I got
a deputy
you.
could be making $17 an hour here, but another deputy that you just hired in could be making 20 or 21.
That's in a lot of professions right now,
yeah.
because he might have got that 17 guy locked in 2-3 years. I don't know however long ago. And then we didn't get a pay raise one year. You know, that didn't happen. And then the demand went so sky high that you had to give 20 to get that guy through the door. So that's not just in law enforcement.
No,
I'm hearing that everywhere.
Absolutely. But I mean, if you can put two people side by side, hiring them in the door, and say, I'm going to pay you X amount, and I'm going to pay you Y amount.
Correct.
There's not a standard across the board for you to get to, like a ladder, progression ladder. And I think fixing that. When I growing up in the sheriff's office, there was 2 times a year that you guaranteed that you were going to see everybody at the sheriff's office. And that was during the summer, and that was during Christmas time. And it was a family. And I think the sheriff's office over time has lost its family values and has become more of it's a profession and it's a team.
Right.
And I think once you start working on that profession and you bring the family back together, then that really reciprocates out.
You mean like y'all would do more stuff
like cookouts, or stuff like that?
Oh, I mean, absolutely. So during the summer, there was a cookout at Indian Point every year.
Okay.
Or go out to Presley's, or you know, during the winter it was always a Christmas party, and all the kids throughout those years throughout the year would be going to each other's birthday parties, and spouses knew one another, deputies knew one another, and it was family. It was truly a family.
I guess that's because you got a pretty big gap between Pascagoula and St. Martin, so I mean, you could not even know somebody over there working. You know,
they're my later time at the sheriff's office. There was people that was working at the jail. I didn't know who they were. There was people working shifts. I didn't know who they were. I mean, it was just it was such a turnover, and people coming in, people coming out, that you couldn't keep up.
Right.
And then you would have shift parties throughout the years, or division parties, and those sort of started fading away as people left, and it just never really.
I know it always kind of comes back down to money, you know, in a lot of situations, but that could be kind of self-funded. But I think it's super important. I've seen that just in my profession. We had a couple random reps, medical reps that would take the employee, all of us out to show us a product, and then everybody eat and hang out. But hanging out with people outside of work allows you to be tighter as a team.
Right. Morale.
Air out grievances, boost morale. You know, it really did. It was different. And it was kind of weird or nice to notice. You know what I mean? So I know exactly what you're talking about there.
Yeah. So, I mean, that you build that family, you build the morale, you get your employee development, good, stronger leadership where they know from top to bottom.
Yeah.
They're there for you. They're there to support you. You know, if it's something I'm huge that I think that in a traumatic incident, something that's not even us using force, but it's us dealing with some incident,
Mhm.
the loss of a child,
Right.
a major wreck, whether, there's people that have been lost in it, or fires, or, that you really need to band together as a brotherhood
Right.
and make sure that guy's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, we've lost great people through this profession, and there's other professions too.
Mhm.
Whether it was suicide or whether it was a PTSD thing and they got out of the profession because we just didn't do our part to check on them.
Right.
And it doesn't hurt just to pick up a phone and say, "Hey man, everything okay?
Thinking
How you
about
doing?
Yeah,
Thinking
yeah,
about you."
yeah. Well, you brought up the junior division. You plan on bringing that back?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So whenever going through the recruiting and the staffing, from what I understand, St. Martin schools are fixing to start a public safety class,
Okay.
and it's going to be
That's
composed.
kind of like Matt. What Matt teaches at the junior college, he does.
Yeah, I think
a little something like that.
a little something like that. But
Yeah.
so Matt's on the criminal justice side of things. But I think this is going to have criminal justice stuff. It's going to have some maybe paramedic, fire.
Cool.
I don't know all the details of the class, but I'd love to pull out of that class just to hire in people whenever you're talking about sort of your numbers. And some issues that they've had over there has been school guards and crossing guards, and that's in every school district out within the unincorporated areas of the county that we serve.
Yeah.
So Lauren Sanford in the comments said that she just moved to St. Martin and there was only one school officer for all the schools, and then she said in Louisiana they had 4 officers at the middle school.
Yeah.
So
That's pretty tough. Yeah, SROs, because when I work Harrison County, we have at least 2 at each high school, and then we have at least 1 at the smaller ones.
Mm-hmm.
So 1 for all of St. Martin schools is what you're saying? Is that what it is right now?
Yeah,
that's tough.
Man, that's not good.
No.
So
I mean, by the time you get St. Martin High School and drive to St. Martin North, that's 30 minutes.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So they would have to do St. Martin, the high school, then the middle school, which is right there, then east and then north, and there's 1 officer for that.
Yeah, that's definitely underfunded, undermanned.
Yeah.
Right.
So that when that program got started, if I understand it right, I mean, I wasn't a part of it, but if I understand it right, the school board and the sheriff's office come together in agreement that said, "Hey, look, we'll fund part of a salary for an officer."
Right.
So they done that. They made that come together. Well, that was, you had some school incidents that had occurred over some times, but it wasn't near as prevalent as what we have today.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And school safety is at the top of my priority list too. But there again, once we go through staffing, I mean, and that's just honest. I mean, you can't rob Peter to pay Paul to. So,
right.
But it takes a special person to be able to do that too. And I went to pick up my daughter from school one day, and it really, very nice guys, but I think it really disturbed me and set me back a little bit that I saw a security truck out there from a company, a security company that the school board contracts with to provide additional security.
Yeah. When you
hey, I've talked to some of those guys, and they're great guys.
Right.
I think it takes a special person to be able to work with kids anyway, and work in that setting. As a matter of fact, if they're listening, if I win this thing, they just need to come.
Right.
Come with us. You've already
got
to
be competitive on pay.
Hey man, I can work on that
all
too.
Right.
That's right.
But I mean, in all honesty, what accountability do they have?
Right.
You know what I mean? What, in the event that they don't act in a time that, God forbid, they would need to act, what kind of accountability?
Yeah, they're just a hired gun, I guess is what you call it.
Who's at fault, for lack of a better term, in that situation? Not reacting. I mean, the fact that they're there and that there's not an SRO at that facility, is that a board of supervisor failure? Is that a budgetary failure? School board failure?
So the sheriff's
office failure.
Sheriff's office has a great budget.
Okay.
I mean, they've worked overtime where you talk to deputies and they put it out. Hey, look, we have an opening, but you only have one opening. And sometimes it takes a little bit longer to fill that opening than other times.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? It just depends on what group of people that you have working there, like I said. But that I don't feel safe or comfortable. I'm glad that they have them. But
right.
It's
you think he'd be better served with an officer?
More. more. I mean, that's a top priority for me. Whenever you start talking about this just school violence, like I said, I hope that's never something that we face. But
Right.
there's so many things that go along with that we're not performing as far as the sheriff's office goes at our best.
Right.
And I think that one, if not two, more in each area, because you talk about what you're talking about with St. Martin, the high school, the middle school,
Mm-hmm.
east and north.
Yeah.
Well, then you get over to the
And upper elementary. That's what I couldn't think of.
and then you get over there to, so that's what, 5.
Yeah.
And then you get over there into Van Cleef, high school, middle school,
Yep.
upper, lower. That's 4.
Then
Same
East
thing.
Central.
Same thing in East Central. And to be able to cover those, the distances you have to go in St. Martin to get through traffic.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, you going down Washington, you can hang it up.
Yeah, and I mean, try to cut across Big Ridge,
Right.
Lemoyne.
Right.
I mean, whichever way that you think is going to be the fastest route to get there,
Right.
try to drive up 57.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, we do.
I mean,
Yeah, that's bad.
I mean, just trying to go from what's that, the upper up there by the stadium.
Oh, that Van Cleef Talking to Town page, man. They're trying to get the buses staggered. They said it's like a standstill at that light right there, like Pontotoc or whatever it is right there. Yeah, Pontotoc.
Yeah.
Been that way for years. I don't know an answer to it. Technically, it's a state highway. I would love to provide whatever resources we could.
Right.
Come together to fill out.
Is this supposed to alleviate some of that? What's going on behind us?
Bypass?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I would
I
imagine,
think that's
right?
supposed to alleviate a lot of it,
Yeah.
And I honestly never thought that I was going to see that happen. Not in my career.
Right.
I mean, they started talking about that years and years ago, and all of a sudden they were able to start working on it to develop it. I remember when it was just talk. But the traffic's just as bad in St. Martin trying to get up and down Fort Bayou. They've alleviated that with the construction and the widening that they've done.
Mm-hmm.
East Central area, it's the same way. It's problems over there. The same thing with traffic. Infrastructure, some of an issue with that, and the roadways that they got to travel. The so many people that have moved out of the cities, or they've moved to the county and they're out in the unincorporated areas. So I mean, there's a lot of things to face, but I think public safety and sheriff's office in particular, we're not prepared for the growth that we have coming in the county.
Yeah.
We just sat through it last week. Craze training. We sat through it all with our SROs, and they showed us the video and do the tourniquet kits and stuff like that. I think that's. I mean, it's good work.
Yeah, it is. Things that's not something that we've really accomplished with the sheriff's office over here. I mean, there's not I think they've started doing that a little bit now, where you've worked with some of the other agencies or some with the other first responder agencies, but you don't really know how a staff member at the school is going to react to an incident.
Right.
You don't know how a child, and it's unfortunate where used to growing up, all we had to worry about was tornado and fire drills.
Correct.
And now you start talking about throwing active shooter drills.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's unfortunately
the
society that we live in. And that's one of the things that being with the sheriff's office and pushing, everybody prepares for the what you hope never happens.
Right.
So
What on the staffing though, and we're talking SROs too, but like obviously you're saying underserved, understaffed across the board, but is there a critical need?
Oh, absolutely.
Is it just jail?
No, the critical need is across the board with the sheriff's office. I think the jail is not in a bad spot. They could be better.
Right.
But it's across the road in enforcement and every aspect of enforcement, patrol, investigations, traffic, narcotics, until we can get numbers.
So it's really across the board.
Yeah.
I mean, absolutely. Look, in 95, they were working 5-6 deputies across the county. In 2023, they're working 5-6 deputies.
God.
Across
Yeah, there ain't no way.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Yeah.
it's a critical need, and I mean it's something that you have to address first.
That's 5 or 6 on duty at one time.
And that's from East Central to St. Martin.
That's from county line to state line.
Holy moly!
From county line to the Gulf of Mexico.
Yeah,
that is the jurisdictional boundaries of Jackson County.
That's
But
every once in a while you might get a few more to where you might have a specialized unit out working.
But I mean, I guess there's
Moss Point, Pasco, Ocean Springs have their own.
But I mean, the coverage of but and then they'll call for some type of mutual aid at times whenever something's happened. The scratch kitchen shootings, and the stuff that's happened downtown Ocean Springs, incidents that happened in Moss Point. If the hospital will call us if they need some assistance out there within the emergency room, in the event that there's been a shooting and people are coming in. You typically with that, you'll get an influx of family and friends and just the general public coming to catch an eye.
Do you know Curtis Spears?
Yeah.
Okay. He says, I'm not kind of confused. It says narcotics has the people, they just don't have the drive. I don't know.
So they need more.
Okay.
And I know exactly what he's saying.
Okay.
There's some really good guys that is a part of that division.
Okay.
There's some guys that had slacked off because they were allowed to slack off, or they were encouraged to slack off.
What does slack off mean? Don't investigate this. Don't investigate that.
We're not going to make a big push to put a dent in the drug trade of Jackson County.
Wow. Okay.
You know, I mean, so the task force is made up of every agency within the county. The sheriff's office is generally the head because they provide the most resources.
Okay.
They provide the building, the vehicles, the gas, the equipment that you use. Generally, the most amount of employees are employed by the sheriff's office that are assigned out there.
Yeah.
And then Pascagoula, Gaucher, Moss Point, and Ocean Springs. Well, two of those agencies had, because of the staffing issues they've had on their own, hasn't provided people. So
Gotcha.
you're working with
you're already 2 man down.
You're 4 men down because you're working with, not only are they narcotics agents, but they're a part of the criminal interdiction team too, that's trying to combat the narcotics running across the county and running into the county. So the Curtis was a former commander at the task force. Okay. Curtis was instrumental in getting the meth the Sudafed law passed in the state of Mississippi. Okay. I mean that he went to bat on that and was huge and was able to get it to go. So then we had a big reduction in meth labs and meth bust across the county and until ICE came in to play. And then that was coming in from Mexico. Well, working on that, then all of a sudden you have the fentanyl come in, you have the opioids come in, the prescription narcotics. And now you're working at a different gamut. And for so long, they were doing a lot more pickup kind of cases, which is when an officer from a different jurisdiction, one of the jurisdictions that encompasses the task force, makes an arrest. Well, then they start doing that investigation, and sometimes they'll do some buys and make arrest on the backside, or
versus spearheading it.
So in my opinion, whenever the task force was created, it was really a street crimes unit.
Okay.
That got out of street level drugs that dealt with the issues at the street level.
Right.
Okay.
And they would do some short term investigations, but things that would turn long term, you would turn over to the FBI, the DEA, Homeland. You would pass it off and let them go to that, and you would focus on the next guy who was out peddling the drugs,
keeping the community safe, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
There's the goal there.
So that's the common goal. Well, they changed through the leadership, and they started doing long-term investigations and not slowing down the drug trade as it come through the county. Because look, you'd start buying drugs, and you're really doing nothing more than supporting a guy's business.
So they would get hung up with the long-term stuff and not focusing on the right now stuff.
Yeah. And then you started the increase in the crime coming across the county and the stuff that comes with the drug trades, the burglaries, the thefts, the gang violence, the shootings and everything that fell along with that. So that's their primary focus, in my opinion. I mean, that's how I grew up, and that was the policing that we understood. And, but then you had somebody assigned to all these federal task forces. They don't have them assigned to these federal task forces anymore. They have them assigned to the U.S. Marshals. They have them assigned to the FBI Safe Streets. That's it. ATF has a task force. The DEA has a task force. Homeland Security has a task force. And these are all entities and resources that we could use to fight the crime and they want to come in and help. And they could help.
Okay.
You just got to pass it on to them.
You just got to pass it on to them.
Yeah.
And they don't even. They're not even requiring somebody to be in the task force. They would love somebody to be there.
Gotcha.
So they've got people to work with, people that know the county, people that know the area. And the name of the game is cooperation. We're all in it for one goal.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't matter which division you work in or which department that you work for, we have one goal, and that's to protect the citizens and serve them to the best of our ability.
Yeah. So that's a big topic that I was going to ask you about is, narcotics and drugs. So it sounds like you kind of touched on it there. What would you do to improve that though? You're saying maybe get these guys, give them the direction and the leadership that they need to kind of get back on point what they need to be doing?
Absolutely.
You've been there. You worked.
Yeah. I've worked those cases. I've been out in the middle of the night.
Do your job.
Right.
Yeah. Do your job.
Yeah.
I mean, that's it. So I've got a friend that was in a position, and in this position, when he first walked in, he said, I'm not too good to answer a telephone.
Right.
If the phone rings, answer the phone. I got
it. Yeah.
If I hear you say it's not my job, you're right. It's not your job.
Mm-hmm.
I will replace you. And I think that
and not only is it not your job, but nothing else is
not your job.
Nothing's your job here anymore.
I mean, but that's the thing. We have to remember that we're here for the citizens.
Right.
If the citizens need us, answer the phone.
Right.
Yeah.
Respond to the call. Do what they're expecting you to do.
I like it.
And it's very simple. And I think that's the leadership style and the philosophy that you have to give out. And if you start at the top and you filter it down, then there's no other expectation at the bottom other than what you're doing up there.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And that's how I grew up. That's how I learned.
Are you ready to do more on that administrative side?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I want to jump in day one.
Yeah.
And get going. I'm focused. I'm determined. I don't know what time y'all got to leave, but I can sit here and talk about this.
No, man, we got to do.
It's one of those things. Absolutely, getting into the administrative roles of things, and having
all the paperwork side of it, though.
It does
personnel management.
So now you're playing chess, putting people where you think it needs to be.
The budgets and all that, right?
Absolutely, everything that entails in that. That, like I said, the board of supervisors gives a good budget. The very first thing is to start with our staff, and let's get our staff in where we need it. They got away from going after grants. The federal government is throwing money on both sides of the aisle at law enforcement for various things. Yeah, and we don't even chase it.
They've we can see it in the price of eggs. How much?
But I mean, well, they're really, whenever you start talking about equipment, training,
right?
I mean, they have all this money that they just want to give you to make things better for whatever their agenda may be. But at the end of the day, it's for a common goal.
Sure stuff.
So you use it how you see fit.
You just got to get somebody to fill the paperwork out.
Yeah. Curtis says the same thing. He said there's federal funding for local officers and all of those task force, by the way. Homeland Security Task Force was his last assignment before he retired and was told Jackson County would never replace me once I was gone.
Isn't Curtis working for Lamy Electric now?
Yeah, he is.
And he's working for Nick now.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm gonna tell you what.
Former sponsor to show.
So I'm gonna tell you this. Going back to the Youth Patrol and the Explorers, I'd get in the car with him.
Okay.
Man, I'd chase him around all over the place, parades in Gaucher, and I mean, just growing up, a lot of the things that I learned with Curtis and that generation of law enforcement.
Yeah.
And I think that's really
so you have that resource to tap into as well.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Look, I'm never too good to say I don't know this or I could get a better understanding of it.
Right.
I'm not going to sit here and tell you I know everything. I know enough to get me in trouble sometimes. I mean,
I can turn it on. I might not know how to turn it off, but I can turn it on.
But in saying that, I'm going to make sure to get what I need at the beginning.
Yeah.
To make sure I'm tapping those resources. And because I've been able to develop the relationships that I've developed with people, as a respect thing across my tenure.
Mm-hmm.
These people are willing to come back, and that's what we need. Whenever you look at the sheriff's office and you look at all these other departments, there's a lot of youthfulness,
mm-hmm.
and the resources that we had, we're not using to tap into.
Yeah.
So whenever you talk about recruiting and retention, I'm sorry, before I go into that, for these guys are willing to come back and be a part of the department because they have a love for the county and a love for the department, and they want to help.
You're talking about the old blood.
Yes. Build a good, sound, solid base of the department, and let's move forward together, the young and the old.
Right.
Yeah.
But in the same time of that, the reserves, they used to be huge.
Gotcha.
Huge. And they've really depleted.
Mm-hmm.
So typically they augmented patrol. That was the things that they did. And it wasn't a question of, are you going to have somebody show up tonight? What are we going to do with everybody when they get here?
Right.
So you would see a lot of roadblock, safety checkpoints, roadblocks, whatever people want to call them.
Okay.
Where they would be doing a lot of those, and they would be just all over the top of it. You couldn't move anywhere in the county and not be able to see a deputy.
Mm-hmm.
And those numbers dwindled down so far. I don't think there's maybe 30 of them now.
Mm-hmm.
And you had a reserve division, you had a mounted patrol division, and you had a flotilla division, and every one of them was full of people that just wanted to help, that wanted to work, that was volunteering their time. They were not getting paid.
Yeah.
So not only am I wanting to bring those numbers back up and bring it with the old blood that wants to get in and help out with that, if you're assigned to a patrol shift, there's 4 shifts, A, B, C, and D. For the next 20 years, if you're assigned to A shift, what day you're working.
Mm-hmm.
So if I take a few guys and I assign them to those patrol shifts as reserves, what schedule you may need to cover, and sort of your obligation,
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I can augment traffic, I can augment narcotics, I can augment investigations, process service,
Mm-hmm.
dispatch, the jail. I mean, the whole 9 yards.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a huge priority.
Okay.
Is to get the auxiliary division, the reserves, and everybody built back up and use them for what their intent was: search and rescue, crowd control. I mean, man, the places you could think about getting a horse into different areas and in a quickness.
Oh, yeah.
Or 4-wheelers side by sides whenever
Right.
you're doing search and rescue operations.
Right. Parades, cruising the coast, all that stuff.
Yeah. I mean, absolutely. And not only that, but the relationships that build with the community.
Mm-hmm.
You're more apt as a citizen, I think, to whenever you see somebody that's not inside of a car, to approach them and talk to them.
True.
Whether it's a guy on a horse, or
the kids love the horses.
I mean, absolutely. It's conversation starters.
Yeah. That could work for recruitment.
Hey, man, where you get that horse from?
Yeah. Recruitment, community relations. I mean, the whole nine.
Yeah, I mean, it's a gamut that you run through with that. The military, you don't get any better trained than the men and women of our United States military. That look, I done a commercial the other day, and their little ad thing I put on Facebook, and they've been committed to us just when they went in and joined the military, and I'm committed to them. I'm committed to hiring as many veterans as we.
That seems like a no-brainer.
Yeah.
That seems like a win-win for everybody,
absolutely.
right?
Absolutely, they're structured in the way we do things,
right?
And they'll bring a skill set that we could use for years to come that we may not even be tapping into yet.
Correct.
Intelligence building,
correct.
Analysis stuff,
right? Online cyber stuff, all the cyber stuff.
Yeah, I mean, things that we're not doing. Movements that may be new to the emergency services units,
Mm-hmm.
Search and rescue operations, whatever, and tapping into that. And recruitment's really lacked through the years of the sheriff's office. You might put something in an ad on Facebook,
mm-hmm.
or now they do the
I
think it's 8th graders, the Pathway to Possibilities.
Okay.
Is that right?
I'm
8th
not
grade,
sure,
something.
STEM.
They have that event that they have at the Coliseum.
Yeah,
I know what you're talking about.
So your kid just went to.
So they'll do that, but we're not going to military job fairs. We're not going across the country to try to bring people to the coast. I mean, if you look at some of the environments across the country, people are begging to really get away.
Yeah,
but they don't know where to go.
You're right.
Go get out of California.
What
come
better
here.
place than to come is here,
right?
With everything we have, the natural resources that we have,
then
the hospitality.
Then you can pull
food.
in. I'm assuming in that regard, maybe more people that are seasoned, maybe like experienced people.
Absolutely. I mean, you have so many things that you can just really do, and that I have plans on doing, and I've talked with people who are ready to jump on that bandwagon that have that experience and want to get out there.
I mean, it's one thing talking to an 8th grade kid, and you might be able to get a hook in him, or her, but you still got a long way to go and a whole bunch of stuff towards a seasoned vet or somebody who's been in the game for a while.
Even somebody that's 21, they still got to go through the academy, then they still got to one-on-one train, right?
Yeah,
like a shadow
FTO program.
There you go.
Yeah,
this guy could come in day one, and now he's got to learn the area. He's got to learn your department, but he's ready to go.
But talking about that public safety class, man, I'd love to be able to hire out of that public safety class, not only to dispatch, but you can hire in the guys and girls that are in that class into a non-sworn position like they do in Harrison County, or they did. I don't know if they still do. And over there in Gulfport, the community service officer program.
So Lauren commented earlier about the SROs. She wants to know, she put this a minute ago, says, how can my son sign up for the youth patrol? Is that still something they can do?
From what I understand now, it's non-existent. They don't have advisors for it. The advisors are deputies from the sheriff's office, and I don't It's just not there.
Okay.
So, but
is that something you could be on your agenda?
Yeah, I mean that's how I got my start. What better way to bring in than what I did?
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So you got to go vote.
Yeah, vote.
That's the first way.
Please
You got to go
vote. But
vote.
I mean,
See if he can bring that back. Right.
It's not if. It's
okay.
I mean, that's something
that's on the agenda.
That's on the agenda. I mean, that's recruitment coming in.
Mm-hmm.
They age out. I think it's at 18.
Okay.
So you sort of age out there to where you can't do it anymore.
Right.
But there again, that community service officer program you can get into and you can do escorts. You can unlock vehicles. You can assist with non-priority calls, respond to crashes, and being of assistance there. You're driving a patrol car.
Yeah.
Wow.
Crossing guard, I'm sure, doing some stuff.
Doing crossing guard duties. I mean, it's that sort of thing that I can hire you, start getting you the experience, and let's try and keep our workforce in Mississippi. Not only in Mississippi, but down here.
And I think the younger that you can get them like that, kind of like your story, it gives you a competitive advantage because now you've seen what it's like. You're going to stick with it if you like it, right?
Oh yeah.
Then you're a little more experienced when you are ready to hire in, and then also too, you can be competitive on the pay with that because the amount of money that a 17-year-old really needs to get started is different than a 21-year-old.
But
18.
Well, I'm okay. In the 18.
You'd have
even still, though, 18 versus 22, 23 is going to be a different.
Well, especially when you're talking about the retirement. I retired 25 years.
Me too.
Right.
Guys now can retire until 30.
Yeah.
Oh man,
it's tough,
and that's at 50% of your pay.
Right.
I know. That used to be the hook. I mean, first responders, teachers, that was the hook.
Yeah,
25 years, you'll be done.
Right.
Yeah. Now they bumped it up to 30, and the pay really hasn't gone much. I mean, it's bumped up a little bit, but
but I mean, and that's for your base time out. Man, there used to be deputies and people at the sheriff's office and teachers, educators that it wasn't unheard of for a 35, 40-year career.
Well, no doubt.
And now they're leaving as quick as they can, and you're trying to hold somebody for 30 years,
right,
in a profession that they may not really end up staying in,
right.
So I mean, you want to set that hook as early as you can set that hook for them.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
What else we got?
Well, I was going to say, what is people go in a lot of times. Well, this is the reason why we've been doing all this is to kind of put faces and personalities to names. I can't tell you how many times I've looked on a ballot and I just I don't know. I kind of heard that name. But I don't know anything about him. You know, if somebody looks at your name August the 8th on the ballot, what would be your quick pitch to them of your priorities when you get in day one, and then how you're different than the rest of the guys? Yeah. That's the game.
I'm not the first thing is I don't believe that politics and the sheriff's office mix.
Okay.
So I'm not the guy that you're going to see wearing a suit. I'm the guy that you're going to see wearing a uniform.
Okay.
And I think that's the first thing that sets me apart from my experience through the sheriff's office growing up in my time, all the events that I've seen, the divisions that I've worked in. I think that really sets me aside and keeping my boots on the ground.
Right.
Okay.
My first issue, and I can't hit it home enough, is dealing with the staffing, and then obviously the crime that's taken over parts of the county, and more so in the St. Martin area than I think anywhere else. And I've talked to people, especially on the St. Martin side, where they say that, well, the sheriff typically comes from the east side of Jackson County, and we get forgot about it. It's the same old. I have made a promise to myself and a promise to them that they're going to see what they need to see. They're going to see the deputies increase. I promise that within the first 90 days of office that we're going to have a drastic reduction across the county in crime. You're going to see the numbers increase.
That's a bold statement.
Yep.
Well,
it's going to happen.
All right. I like that. Yeah.
I mean, I remember early part of my career under Sheriff Byrd. He came to you and he said, "Hey, look, go home, kiss your kids, kiss your spouse, tell them you love them, tell them you're going to be back to see them. But we're rolling. We got work to do." And I think that I'm not the guy who's going to forget where I came from and where I started, because that's made me who I am. So, I mean, I'm huge on family. I'm huge on building that family, not just my family, but the family of law enforcement, the building the community's support and their trust. You know, the last thing that you want to do is come ask somebody in the community to trust you whenever something's happened and y'all can't be completely transparent about it.
Yeah.
You know, that's not the time to build a relationship.
Right.
You need to work on that coming in the door and have that focus and that mindset in everything you do. So in the event something does happen, I can tell you,
trust.
Hey, we've built trust. I'm going to let you know what it is as soon as I can let you know what it is. Cause you talk about, a use of force that involves an officer shooting or something that the NBI and the state gets involved in. State law says that the commissioner is the only one who can release any kind of statements and footage. But at the same time, I think as soon as that's available to be released, that it gets released and we're completely open and transparent about it and talk about what happened.
Yeah.
Why it happened. I think that.
Well, 90% of the time, somebody else has got it anyways.
Well,
yeah.
But it's also a fine line too. Transparency versus respect for that's a weird situation.
Yeah. I mean, you got some evidence issues, but like I said, when you get something that's a use of force thing, it's investigated outside. It's, to some type of officer involved shooting or something. It gets investigated outside. So that falls under the Department of Public Safety. I can't even make a statement about it outside the fact that, yes, it happened until they're prepared to do so.
Right.
And I think Commissioner Tyndall is more than transparent and as quick as he can be. And when he's ready to do that, I mean, that's the thing that he tries to be open with. And I think building that trust and being transparent, being accessible, that's something that's lacked in the sheriff's office over the years. Things changed to where you really couldn't meet with the sheriff. You couldn't talk to the sheriff, or if you did, we expect you to come down to our office and talk. I'm a guy who's going to come meet you. We'll sit down in a place that's comfortable for you, in a setting that's comfortable for you. Transparent with our budgets, transparent with the crime that we're having, the areas that we're having it, the things that we're trying to do to fight it. We're getting into these neighborhoods and meeting with people, creating the Neighborhoods Watch programs again. I think they're sort of slacked and laxed in that over the years. Building relationships. I think that's the biggest thing to do, and everything else can sort of fall off that, because if you're talking to somebody in the Neighborhood Watch, or you're talking to that deputy that's driving down your road and sees you outside and reaches out to you, they're liable to be told about that house that's around the corner that's got a lot of traffic in it. It's real suspicious.
Yeah, you might want to watch this.
You might want to watch this. So then that drug task force that we talk about gets into play, and the next thing you know, you see a bunch of unmarked with a bunch of blue lights on, and the front door is in the backyard.
Right.
Clear.
So
Yeah, we talked about that a couple episodes ago about the Neighborhood Watch. It's like it hasn't gone away. It's just on Facebook now.
Yeah,
like these groups, like you said, the Van Cleve groups. There's a bunch through St. Martin, Jackson County. There ain't anything that happens that ain't in that group.
You're absolutely right. And there's deputies that are a part of different groups, but a lot of people in those groups don't even know who the deputies are.
Correct.
They're just a part of the group. So if the deputy sees it, he may say something, he may not.
Right.
You know what I mean? So when you have a point of contact and somebody that you can look in the eye and that you trust a lot, we get that information. One thing is working to build that cooperation is getting with a power company. And let's work to get like a reduction on your power bill if you put a camera on your house, and we can access it if something happens in your neighborhood.
I've never even heard of that.
Why couldn't we do it?
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I mean? Just stuff that works with multiple entities for one common goal.
Right.
I think there's a couple app companies that do that. There's like a Neighborhood, I think is the name of it.
And
it links Ring cameras that if the person voluntarily allows that camera to be a part of that network.
Yeah, but I mean,
for that kind of
some of these cities, I think Biloxi's got something sort of like that.
Okay.
New Orleans, you know what I mean? So you work a program in that benefits the citizens and benefits law enforcement at the same time.
And I tell you where you start. Right there on Maple Cove, because my power bill is about $300 this month.
Joey will light that thing up.
I'll put any camera you want up there.
Whatever it is that we can get in and work out, I want to work with everybody.
Yeah.
I want to build those relationships with corporations, with the small businesses, with the citizens, and let's focus on making Jackson County a premier place, not just a premier agency, but a premier place that somebody wants to come. You want to raise a family here. You want to create a business here. You want to grow your business here. Randy talked about all this economic development and stuff that's coming. Man,
not with crime, not with a high crime.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, that in schools. We've got great schools. We've got great things to offer here. Let's offer the sheriff's office.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
it.
That's why I love watching all the defund the police stuff. And then what was it? A couple months later, it's like
we need the police.
Delete,
yeah,
whiteout, whatever they call it.
Yeah, well, it's like so and so business is now closing 12 stores across the mid or the west. I'm like, what did you think was going to
Should have
happen?
got the police.
Yeah.
People are leaving in droves. I mean, Oregon, Washington, California. I mean, leaving New York. They're leaving in droves to get away. Let's present it. Let's present here for the things we have, and I think we can really do that, and with an effort amongst everybody, and everybody being on the same page and taking their piece of the pie and be responsible for it. I think it absolutely could happen. You know, people say that law enforcement's changed. Law enforcement has not changed. There's not one law on the state level or on the federal level that has tied the hands of the police.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that has tied the hands of the police is some loud group.
Right.
But at the end of the day, the majority
court of public opinion.
Right. The majority of the people that support the police, we're here to take care of everybody.
Right.
But we're here to do what's in the best interest of all citizens, not just a small group.
The squeaky wheel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that leaders in law enforcement and I mean, across the board politics, they forget who it is that we're working for.
Right.
And what it is we're working towards. And that's something that is different from me. What you see today is what you're going to get tomorrow.
I like it.
I mean,
what before we roll out here, I know we got a couple more questions, but I always ask this one. What about the miracle marijuana stuff coming in? What does that pose for y'all's?
Well, one, I don't know what it's going to pose
because
nobody has bothered to put that out. I know they've started cultivating it and they're moving forward with it. But as far as law enforcement, what that's going to entail, I don't know. I mean, I think that
or like, what is your patrol guys being told?
Nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, absolutely nothing. You know, the district attorney's office at one time when I was in narcotics, they were pretty good about giving us case law updates and things that they were expecting, the things that were going to be changing. And they may still be doing that. I'm just not affiliated with it anymore. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I think that we need to be talking with agencies that have had to deal with this, and states has had to deal with this for years to really understand as law enforcement what we're facing and what we're going to be doing. Because I think that it could bring a whole new set of challenges that and a learning curve that we're going to have to go through. You talking about people say DUIs,
right?
The DUI crashes. I mean, I don't think that changes based off what it is that's in your system, whether it's marijuana, alcohol, or a prescription drug. You know, I mean, it's things that we're going to learn about. I think some of these places, they have big programs that are like eradication that are, that's not sanctioned by the state. I think they push money at them to try to deal with that. So I think it's going to be a learning curve for everybody. And we've not been told, to my knowledge, anything what to look for, whether what the cards look like,
right?
It's just on a piece of notebook paper.
This is a napkin.
Yeah.
How much somebody's allowed to have,
right?
What if somebody's in the car that has a medical marijuana card, but this guy has marijuana on him?
He's got my card.
He was holding it for me.
Yeah, I didn't have no pockets.
These aren't my pants.
Those are my pants. He's wearing my pants.
Yeah, but I mean, it's you got to look at that. What's going to take place with canines? Canines are now are trained to detect marijuana because it's illegal.
Yeah.
So
they're going to be going off like crazy.
Yeah. So what do you do with those dogs?
You would think
because you can't really take it out of them.
Right.
You don't know for 100% that that's not what they were alerting on. So are they going to have to go to retirement?
Yeah.
Is a state going to give us some funds to buy new dogs? I mean, there's a lot to talk about.
They're going to alert on marijuana or say like meth or something. You won't know the difference. You just know he alerted. That's it.
It doesn't change. Either a dog is going to be a passive alert dog, which means they're going to sit down or lay down and stare at it, or they're going to be an aggressive alert and they're going to tear your paint up, or I've seen some of them pop tires on the side of the road, bite bumpers. You know what I mean?
Right.
So you don't know if it's marijuana, cocaine, methamphetamine. I mean, they're just alerting to an odor that they've been trained to alert to.
Yeah. Damn. Yeah. I didn't even think about that.
Whole lot of stuff coming down the pipe.
Because then now it's like, I got a card right here. It's like, well, now I don't know if he's just using that as a ruse to, cover up the other stuff that's in there. Yeah. Now I got to search vehicle. That could be.
Yeah. I mean, you're talking about a lot of stuff that's going that's going to come up that we've not really prepared for yet, or don't. If
Haven't
they
been given
have, they've
orders,
not,
like,
yeah,
really.
they've not really passed it out to anybody. I mean, like I said earlier, you're looking at dogs costing $15,000-$20,000. That's an investment.
Yeah,
especially for departments that are smaller departments that may not have a budget, that may not have an interdiction program, where they have drug forfeiture coming in, or doesn't have grants coming in. I mean, there's that could be costly to them.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Damn. A lot of stuff to figure out, but sounds like Jackson County's got you've got it on your heart. You want to take care of the people you want to serve. So, man, I'm impressed. I'm glad to hear it.
Yeah.
It's been interesting for us doing these, for the past couple of weeks. We've been
How's the campaign been going?
Pretty hard.
This has probably been the funnest time of my career.
Really?
That's
new.
Everybody else been like,
I like it, but like,
I mean, I love talking to people.
Yeah,
I love hearing the ideas and what people have to say, and what their views are of different things, and having a plan put together to take off with, seeing where my mindset is versus what the county's mindset is, the communities that you're serving. So I've had a blast. I look forward to getting into a neighborhood and waving at people and just talking.
I love it, man. That's a unique perspective on
it.
I think you've been at this for a while. I think, like you said, this has been your dream. So I mean, it ain't work. Right?
No, it's not work, man. When you love it, it's not work. I mean, to me right now, I'm living the start of that dream, the start of my goals. I'm excited about it. I look forward to getting up doing it every day. I think my wife gets tired of listening to it. I've watched my kids roll their eyes a few times at me.
That's how you know it's working. That's how you know you did a good job.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's this. I wouldn't trade this moment today or anything that I've done through this process for anything.
Do you have any more, like, a big push for the weekend, or are you just going to kind of feel like I've put it out there?
I have put it out there, but I don't think you ever let off the pedal.
Right.
I think it's important to give 100% of you 100% of the time, 100% of the day.
I love it.
Whatever that is today may not be tomorrow, but it's right now, and that's the way I live, so I've been full throttle through it. I'm gonna stay full throttle through it.
Well, if anybody changed their mind tonight and they want to sign, you still giving out signs? Still doing that?
I look. If you want to sign, I'll bring one. I'll bring you all the way up to 6:59 Tuesday. Polls close at 7. And, I'll bring one to you. I love talking. I love hearing from people. If somebody wants to reach out to me, I've been open and accessible. Whether you're reaching out to me on Facebook, you're sending me a text message on my cell phone, I respond as quick as I can. I think that's important. So anytime anybody who has a question that they want to talk, please reach out to me. If you hear something, ask me about it. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Let's get them links in there.
I got them already.
You already got them there. So you're more active on Facebook?
Yeah, Facebook. I stay real active on the best that I can. I'll get alert on my watch or alert on my phone, and as I slow down, I try to get back to that a whole lot easier. I do have a website, and emails come to it if somebody sends an email through there. But if you're trying to get to me in a hurry, and really send me a text.
Okay.
Send me a message on
I dropped the links at the beginning, so people watching on the live, or if you're watching this on the replay, just scroll back up. It's in the comments, and then if you're on the audio side of things, I'll have the link to your Facebook page right here in the audio, so people can get to you. We're recording this August the 3rd, so
the countdown's on, baby.
5 days, like I said.
5 days.
Nail biters, huh?
Is that Tuesday? It's Tuesday. We didn't even schedule a show, so you don't even have to worry about us being the reason why you don't vote. You need to go out there and vote.
Yeah, we don't want people watching us.
Yeah, I mean, as big following we got now, we could, we don't want to sway anything.
Right.
Well, I can tell you, not only are you going to see me throughout the county and meeting the deputies as they're working through the areas. There's big neighborhood big community programs like Coffee with a Cop.
Yeah, and that's what Joey and I
sort of thing.
We want to, on the other side of this, we want to be a part of some of those
outreach.
types of things, for Harrison and Jackson, Hancock, whatever.
I've reached out across county lines, and I want to be able to build those partnerships and those relationships before we ever get going. If I'm fortunate enough and it's God's will that I get there, then I've got those relationships that have started across the aisle. I mean, across the county lines and stretching through the coast. So
Okay.
I'm 100% on board with
Well,
that.
man,
Wish you luck, man.
Yeah, and thank you for stopping by here with us, hanging out. We really
appreciate the
appreciate your time. I know
Yep.
all of y'all, everybody's been busy, and so we appreciate it. I know, like we were just saying, we've been doing a lot of these, man. I feel good. I feel like Jackson County, Harrison County, the whole coast is in good hands from the people that we spoke to.
Yeah.
And that's state officials to local people. Everybody seems like they got their heart in the right spot, and that makes me feel good because I live here. And I want
And now you got a couple faces and names, so when you look on that ballot, say, "Hey, I saw that guy on the show." So
that's all. I heard that guy, give his spiel. So there you go. Robbie, thanks again, man.
Appreciate it, brother.
Get out, vote August the 8th. There's no reason not to, right?
Nope. There's no Brownwater show on.
That's right. That's right. That's right. And we got some good guests coming up. I can't even think of them off the top of my head. We'll get the events. Yeah, we'll get the events lined up. We're gonna obviously be transitioning out of the political stuff, going back into the maybe political on the outdoor side of things, right? With DMR and stuff like that, and we're doing stuff with the fishing bank. So got a lot of good content coming there. So download the Brownwater app if you haven't already done that. It's on Google Play and App Store. It's free. It's got all our stuff inside of it, man. It's a real cool all-in-one, one-stop shop app. So if y'all keep watching these things, man, we will keep doing them. So we'll see you on the next one.
Later. Boom. We still live? Hey guys, we're still live.
Yep, you boomed it too early.